Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Molly. I'm the founder, owner, operator, everything for Lacquer22, a small nail polish company. But today we're talking makeup again. Today we are ranking the GlamLite palettes that I have in my collection. Now let me start off by saying I adore GlamLite so much. Their matte formula might be my favorite matte formula. It is so pigmented, so like creamy in a way. They do palettes so well. They always have a good amount of deep shades. Now I will say sometimes they don't have enough light shades, but I'd rather have more deep instead because you can just kind of blend it out a little bit and it'll sheer out a little bit. I feel like GlamLite is just one of those fun brands. I feel like they're doing things that even if I don't love the collection or the launch or whatever, there's always something that interests me with every line that they do. I feel like they do things very smart, very sensible. I love their price points, their quality, their packaging. I really love GlamLite. I have 13 palettes to rank. I'm planning on adding the Garfield and the Kiss palette to my collection, but those haven't been palettes that I've been like, oh my god, I need it. So I'm waiting until there is a launch that I'm in love with, and then I'll just add those to the order. But let's just go ahead and start ranking the ones that I do have. Okay, so unfortunately, the one that's in last place, in 13th place, is one of my favorite movies, and this is the Ghostface palette. This is one of their lenticular motion, I think is what it's called, covers, which is super fun. Here's the inside. Now this is kind of a complaint that everybody else has with it. I just don't get enough differentiation here. It's all very dark, it's all very dusty, which generally I like. However, the like blues versus purples don't show up on me, so it's just all a really dark color and that's just not my favorite. I do appreciate that we have some lighter mattes up here, some lighter shimmers as well. Formulation in here, fantastic. It's just that there's this color story is just too monochromatic, even on the eye, which makes me sad. I love the Ghostface movies, Scream movies so much, so I'm sad that I don't love the palette as much as I love the movies. Next up we have number 12. This is what I'm wearing right now. I'll get into the specifics in a second, but this is the Big Scooby palette. Now this is also one of those with lenticular motion. I really enjoy Scooby Doo. When I was in elementary school, there was one of the kids in my class that had an absolute obsession, and it just kind of brings me back to being a kid. Even though I didn't watch it all the time, I think of the kid in my class, and he was always super fun. So I do have fond memories of Scooby-Doo, even though I wasn't always watching it. I do love the live action. I like the Scooby-Doo franchise as a whole. However, I think we made some mistakes on the packaging, and again, this is kind of what everybody else is saying. It's too big. The amount of space in here in between the pans going sideways drives me nuts. I don't feel like I'm able to put an actual look together because I'm distracted by everything going on in the palette itself, on the packaging. I feel like the color story is really fun, and I love that we're grouped by character. I think that's a really fun ad. So we've got Scooby here, and then like, you know, it goes down. So Fred, Velma, you know, whatever. Again, quality is not an issue. I'm wearing this shade right here. They don't have names, they were just numbered, but this is the Fred row, and just all over everywhere. I wish that they took the pictures of the characters, and instead of just having Scooby on the mirror, I wish it was a picture of the gang, and just kind of compacted the palette a little bit. I also think it's very strange with the layout that the columns are very close together, even though the palette is laid out by row. I don't understand that, and maybe that's just something that needs to be explained to me, but I don't get it and I don't like it. This packaging is very heavy. really my issue with this is just the packaging, and that makes me so sad. But the packaging kind of prohibits me from using it as often because I have to like block out the bottom part of the packaging with all of the characters being here so that I can pair things together. It just makes me sad. Just makes me sad. The lip scrub that came with this collection, or I guess the lip balm, it smells so good. Oh my god, Scooby Snacks for sure. It smelled so good. Number 11, we've got another horror movie. So this is Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the Dream Master palette, and this is the red one, okay? So I never had a problem with any of the mattes. Shimmers are an issue. Shimmers are a big issue. These are not the typical GlamLite quality, GlamLite shine and shimmer that their other palettes have, which makes me very, very sad. I do understand that red and red-based colors, pigments are harder to formulate and not as forgiving and friendly. But even this silver right here, and even this gunmetal right here, and even this like black base, they're not shimmery or sparkly like every other shimmer is from the brand, and that really drops it low for me. As much as I love using my Blend Bunny Noctilucent palette as a topper, I want to use my Noctilucent palette as a want. I don't want to feel like I need an extra topper, and I definitely feel like I need a little extra something when I use this palette, unfortunately. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the mattes. I didn't really have any trouble with the mattes, but the shimmers just kind of mess me up a little bit. I won't lie. It makes me really sad. Okay, number 10, and I kind of went back and forth with number 10 because I'm not positive it belongs in this spot so low, you know, but I don't know. Okay, this is the Strawberry Shortcake palette. I think this palette is so cute. My problem with it, and let me explain myself first. My problem with it is that pink and red don't pair together very well. You have to be very intentional with it. Otherwise, they will mix together and just look a little gross on your eyes because they're not friends on the color wheel. That being said, this is perfect theming. And I love the brightness and I love the colors and I think it's so fun to look at. However, I wish I was able to incorporate the pink and the green, or the red and the green, a little bit more often, but I don't always want to put that time in, you know, especially if I'm running late in the morning or something. I think the shimmers in here are beautiful. I think the mattes in here are so pigmented and beautiful and just yummy. I just guess it's the color story. As much as I love the color story, I just don't reach for this very often because of the red and green kind of being frenemies, which makes me sad, but I love the theming so much. Next, for number 9, we have another horror movie. So this is the Chucky palette, Crazy in Love, More Lenticular Motion. Now, I feel like I'm gonna sound hypocritical here, okay? Look at how dark it is, right? And that's kind of was my problem with Ghostface. However, the red versus purple versus black shows up more on my skin tone, and I appreciate that more. That goes farther for me, even though we don't have as many lighter colors in the palette. I hope that makes sense. I really love the tones in this palette. This is such a beautiful winter palette, and I enjoy the shimmers in here, just the colors in general. I feel like this is such a moody and dark palette that's just perfect from like November to February. I just really enjoy this and I like it a lot. I don't know, there's not a whole lot more to say. I wish there was a wider color range, but that's okay, it is what it is. But I like it a lot more than the Ghostface. Next up, we've got Barbie. Barbie was such a hit last year, and this palette helps it live on forever. Okay, so I really love the color story in here. I think it's super fun, very Barbie. I appreciate that we do have a neutral row to kind of tone things down a little bit if that's what we choose to do. I think the summer vibes in here are so obvious, and I think that's beautiful. I think the cotton candy kind of colors make it really fun and easy to pair together. However, I think we could have done a Chucky sized palette instead of this big guy. I think some of these shades are a little bit redundant. We don't need all of them to get the point across. Don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. They're pigmented, they're blendable, it's beautiful, I love it. However, it's a lot, and I don't feel like we need this. I will say that that's just kind of my preference, is that I prefer the smaller size palette. We don't have to use quads all the time, but this is a lot. This is a lot. I think we could have pared it down and it could have been just as exceptional as it is right now, but that's not what we chose to do. Love the colors, love the theming, love the vibe. These are easier to pair together than the Strawberry Shortcake palette, which is why it's higher, but I just feel like we could have pared down a little bit. In the number 7 spot, we have Frosted Flakes. I absolutely love Frosted Flakes, just generally. I think they're a really good cereal. I love Tony the Tiger, how adorable. This is one that opens kind of like a book for the front, but really the palette is sideways, which I don't understand that, and that does bother me a little bit, I won't lie. But that's a very minute thing. So here we go, moving on. I am so impressed and in love with these blues in this palette. The oranges are pretty. I wish the oranges were a little bit more punchy like this one, because this is more of a neutral. This one I appreciate that we have more of a mid-tone brown, but I just wish things were a little bit more orange instead of warm neutral. But the blues in here are really the standout. They're so pretty, so pigmented, so easy to work with, and if you've worked with blue shadows before, you know it can be a little bit tricky. This palette is fantastic. The shimmers in here are really pretty. I really enjoy that we have lighter shimmers in this palette because my preference is lighter shimmers rather than darker ones. So this kind of works well for me. I just think this is super cute. I think it's really fun for winter or for summer. You can kind of use both. And also the theming is just perfect. Next we have another Scooby Doo palette. So this is the Ruh Roh Raggy palette. This was actually part of my first purchase ever from GlamLite. They did this for Halloween 2 years ago, I want to say. That feels crazy to say, but I guess so. So this is Ruh Roh Raggy. This is more greens and blues. This color right here is beautiful. I don't love this shade here. I feel like we could have replaced that with a different matte and had a better impact, because it's not the most pigmented. And I have noticed that with shades that are similar in color, they're just not typically the best, but we can get a similar vibe from the green here and the green on the edge if you just mix them. So I think we could have done without that one there. That being said, I think this is a super fun palette. I do like this disgusting green, that more periwinkle color there. We've got 2 mattes to darken things up. We've got a matching shimmer for every matte. I think this was laid out really, really well. I really enjoy the colors in here, especially for Halloween time. I think they did really good with this one. I don't reach for this one as often as the other one, which you'll see in a minute, but I still think they did a really good job. We are now in our top 5. 5th place goes to the other Nightmare on Elm Street palette. This is just the Freddy Krueger palette. I refer to them as the green or the red Freddy Krueger, or the green or the red Nightmare on Elm Street, so forgive me for not knowing the names. So we already talked about the red one. This is the green one. I love the kind of murkier tones in here. I love that we have a black to kind of pull in the darker shades. My only qualm with this is that we do have a similar kind of issue with the shimmers. Not all of them are up to code, if you will, compared to the other GlamLite shimmers that I think the majority of us are used to. So that is a little bit disappointing. It's the same thing with the red palette. We already talked about it. The reason this is so much higher is just because I prefer greens more. I will say I wish we had more of a like brighter green. You can't see it as well here, but this is a street sign, and the green in there is a little bit brighter than any of the greens in here. I just feel like these are so murky that like these two, sometimes it's hard to differentiate. I don't feel like we needed both. I would have really liked to have more of a, like, I guess this color but brighter, more of that rainbow green that we're used to. I think that would have been a better fit, but I didn't make the palette, so of course I would change something. It is what it is. I think overall this palette is still really good. I just prefer the greens over the reds. I wear green a little bit more often, but still a great palette. In fourth place, this is the Kisses palette. This is the Lava Cake Kisses. I will say I hate that you open it like this and then the mirror is on the bottom. I really dislike that. Okay, so this is the more pink and berry toned one. I have enjoyed this. I think the mattes in here are really, really good. These two shimmers are more on the kind of flat side, but this guy up here, oh wow. This guy is just super, super sparkly. I love just topping whatever look I do with this palette with that shade, just because it adds such an extra dimension to the eyes. I really love a berry look. I love this hot pink. It's so bright. I just enjoy this palette. Doing a darker look with this matte here and then this as a shimmer, super, super pretty. Easy to use, easy to work with, easy color story, adorable packaging. Just really good. In third place, this is our last horror one for the day. This is the Friday the 13th palette. I am so in love with the color story of this. I think this is such a beautiful fall winter kind of color story. I really appreciate that we have differences in depth but with still the same color. So we have this dark blue, a lighter blue, dark green, lighter green, dark brown, and a lighter brown there. I love that so much and I'm very grateful for it. I do enjoy a red shadow from time to time. I'm happy that's in there. It makes sense for the movie. I love the shimmers. I really, really love that we have some lighter shimmers over on that side. I just think this is a really fun palette. I appreciate the darker tones, the murkier tones, while still having two different depths with one color for 3-4 colors in here. I just appreciate it. I think it was well done. That's kind of all I got to say. Okay, number 2. I love this palette. This was sold out and then they finally brought it back for Black Friday and I was waiting. I was so sad when it sold out like 2 or 3 days before Black Friday and then they announced that it would be restocked and I was like, oh, thank God, because I've wanted this for a hot minute. This is the Rick and Morty palette. I think this is such a beautiful, beautiful rainbow palette. Let me get my words. I appreciate the richness, the neon of the bright shades and the richness of the deeper shades. I think this is so beautiful and so well done. I will say, I think there's a couple, again, could have taken out. We don't need all these shades to get the job done. But I'm not going to complain too much because I appreciate the depth of so many of the shades and the brightness. So we have a lot of shades kind of similar to the Friday the 13th palette where it's the same color but we have a lighter one and a darker one. So a dark blue, a lighter blue, dark green, dark purple, lighter purple. You get the point. I think this palette was really, really well done. I think it's so beautiful, so impactful. The mattes are beautiful, shimmers are beautiful. I can't say enough good things. We even have lighter matte or lighter shimmers and darker shimmers down here. I just feel like they covered so much in this palette and I feel like they did really, really good. It's just so pretty. It's just so pretty and so fun to use. I feel like this could be summer or winter because of the neons and the depths. I think they did a really, really good job with this palette. Now, last but not least, so this shouldn't surprise you if you saw my last video of keeping one palette from each brand. I think this is my most used GlamLite. I've considered buying another one. I haven't because I think that's a little crazy, but I might still. You know, time will tell. The Creeps and Crawls palette, okay, from Scooby Doo. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Look at how insanely beautiful this is. Because I have no words, they're gone. I love this palette so much. I think the colors in here are so beautiful. I think the shimmers in here are so beautiful. I feel like you can get such a variety of looks out of 5 simple mattes, and I really love this color story. Every shade in here performs well. Every shade in here is so beautiful. These shimmers are so sparkly. They're so sparkly. I think this is just such a beautiful palette. I prefer this purple tone over the green tone of the other one. Why? Not entirely sure. I feel like these are just a little bit richer, a little bit better quality maybe than some of the shades in the green one. I can't say enough good things about this one. If you have a chance to buy this palette, please do it. I don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you like purples and blues. So easy to work with, so good. Again, this was part of my first ever purchase from the brand, and I made me fall in love. It made me fall in love. What can I say? Love it. Love it. Alrighty, well that is my GlamLite palette ranking for what I have in my collection so far. Again, I am thinking about adding that Garfield and the Kiss palette to my collection. They are cute, they just weren't like necessary purchases, if that makes sense. But expect to see those at some point later on down the road. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do you share any opinions with me about these palettes? Do you have any of these? Is your number one my number one? What is your number one? I have so many questions for you. Let me know in the comments. I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.